FNaF 3 is one of the most hated games by a large part of the FNaF community, myself included. But could it be that we're wrong? Did FNaF 3 really have potential, and has this unofficial FNaF 3 Plus discovered it? Join me to find out as we analyze it and compare it with the original game, while at the same time I complete a video for a Fast vs Not tournament. So, which game is worse? To clarify, this isn't FNaF 3 Plus. The game is called Fast vs Fright Attraction, though even its creator referred to it as FNaF 3 Plus still. Don't be confused, this is his own version, not the official FNaF Plus that was meant to be released. That's why the versions by Lost Pop Play, the creator of these two Fangames, are the closest we'll get to FNaF Plus, so thank you very much. Now let's take a closer look at what this improved FNaF 3 offers. To start, we have the menu, and in terms of music we have this terrifying theme. One word, 3 syllables, beautiful. But getting straight to what it offers, the menu is very similar to the original game, only here we already have the extras unlocked, where we can see the animatronics in more detail, credits, some jump scares, the cameras, and a nightmare mode option that for now won't be active. To do that, we have to complete the 5 nights, so let's head to the first one. We see a newspaper that's very similar but not identical to the one in FNaF 3, and then we'll move on to the next scene where we'll have to walk until we reach the place. And here's the first problem. While this part serves as an introduction to Fazbear Fright, it repeats during all the other nights, which is really unnecessary. This is very different from the original FNaF 3 where we saw how the animatronics were dismantled by the purple guy, who ultimately dies inside the Spring Bonnie suit because of these souls. Those were truly great scenes that stood out because of the story they told, symbolically explaining the ending of FNaF 3 and how it could have been the end of the saga, since, if we remember, only 3 games were planned, making FNaF a trilogy. This would change later on, but that's the point. How is it possible that FNaF 3 in terms of story carries much more weight than its FNaF 3 Plus counterpart? Because here there's no mention of the possessed animatronics, nor of the souls that subdued William Afton. There's nothing. Moving on from this scene, we'll finally have the chance to play the first night. Here, just like in the original game, absolutely nothing will happen. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing. We won't even get a phone call. This night is just to understand a bit of the mechanics we'll have, like fixing errors and using the cameras to play audio. Although if there's something I have to be thankful for, it's that the cameras open just by moving the mouse over them. In the original game, you had to click, and on top of that, it was on the right side, which made it a bit annoying. But I don't know. In FNaF 1 and FNaF 2, we already got used to opening the cameras the first way, so why make things more complicated? On the other hand, there's not much to highlight until we see the animatronics, so let's move on to the later nights. Here we'll have the Phantom Animatronics and Springtrap. About the latter, it's worth noting that he's more obedient, seriously. As was discussed in FNaF 3, we have to hold Springtrap back so he doesn't reach our office. We do this by playing audio on a nearby camera. That way, we can hold him back more and more. The bad thing is that in the original game, there were times when Springtrap would just ignore any audio and keep moving forward. Personally, that bothered me most because it was unfair. That doesn't happen here at Fazbear Friday Attraction. If you play audio near Springtrap with a nearby camera, he'll always listen. What a blessing. Keep in mind, Springtrap no longer uses the ventilation ducts, which is odd since in FNaF 3 he used them to gain an advantage, and we could only stop him by closing the duct. That's no longer possible now. It was replaced by another mechanic we'll discuss later. Phantom Bonnie is the only animatronic in the vents and appears only as an Easter egg. He doesn't affect us or do anything, he's just there, minding his own business. The ones that will affect us are the Phantom Animatronics. Phantom Freddy? The one we just have to ignore to avoid him? Well, now it turns out we have to close the blinds so he doesn't give us his junk scare. And speaking of junk scares, they've changed a bit. Normally these were instant. If you made a mistake, you were brutally attacked. But now animatronics like Phantom Freddy and Phantom Foxy take their time, and this isn't exactly a good thing since they prevent you from opening the repair monitor. Seriously, you'll be desperate for them to attack you already because that monitor is really important, and not being able to open it is like being in hell. Talking about Phantom Foxy, he hasn't changed much since he still has the same mechanic where he appears to our left, and we just have to open the cameras to make him disappear. The same goes for Phantom Chica, who hasn't changed much either. She still appears in camera 07. Phantom Balloon Boy still bothers you on the cameras, but it's worse now. Fortunately, it only happens when you open the screen, and if you avoid him and switch cameras, he won't return. However, the one who has changed a lot is Phantom Puppet, because now for some reason he appears on the ceiling, and if we don't ignore him, he'll hit us with his insta junk scare and we'll get a ventilation error as usual. Yeah, it's strange that now Phantom Puppet has the same mechanic that Phantom Freddy used to have, and you can also see how he disappears once he gets close to you, confirming that he's just a hallucination. So that theory that Phantom Puppet is not a hallucination is disproved, at least in this fan game. And if you're wondering what happened to Phantom Mangle, well, honestly, I'm wondering the same thing. We should also mention the repair monitor, which now has two important new features. The first is oxygen. When there's an error in the cooling system, oxygen will start to drop, and so we have to restart this system because the less oxygen we have, the darker the screen will get, and at some point it will be impossible to continue. We also have the ventilation, no, not that one, this one, where we'll have to hold down the button to push the grate away. Honestly, I don't get how this works. If anyone knows or has a theory, please share, because I have no idea how this affects us, since Springtrap supposedly doesn't use the vents now. Those must be the new mechanics. I think that in terms of gameplay, it's somewhat innovative compared to the original, but things like Phantom Puppet lingering on you for ages and then leaving gave the game a tedious kind of personality. And if you ask me, the jump scares of FNAF 3 are superior to those of Fazbear Fright's attraction, of course, except for Springtraps. I'm sure you'll get scared by more than one, because besides being aggressive jump scares, they also catch you off guard. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the jump scares aren't that surprising, which is intentional, but even the jump scares themselves aren't that good. Just see for yourselves. What we can definitely highlight is the graphical improvement. Besides the animatronics looking much better, including Springtrap, the office is a 10 out of 10. Scattered papers, more drawings, more details like that LPG on the monitor, or even the cameras, some of which are even cracked. And without a doubt, something really good is that they don't overuse the static, since in FNAF 3 they really bombarded us with it. And I'll be honest with you guys, this FNAF 3 Plus stands out for its graphics and new mechanics. However, on a general level, the original FNAF 3 may be superior in narrative, story, and for some even gameplay. Why? Well, because Fazbear Fright's attraction misses the opportunity to add to the story, whether with minigames or secrets. The Phantom Bonnie Easter egg is appreciated, but it doesn't add anything else. On the other hand, FNAF 3 gives a bittersweet closure to the souls of the children trapped in the animatronics. There's even a secret happy ending that, well, in the end is just a what if. If we recap, FNAF 1 Plus wasn't finished, we only got glimpses of the project. And in FNAF 2 we didn't have a FNAF Plus per se, but there was a project that was eventually cancelled. In both cases, it ended up being cancelled, so we can't see the full game. But with Fright's attraction, it's very different. This is the final game, this is the complete game, and that's why it's a bit strange that the story part hasn't been explored. On a gameplay level, I prefer Fazbear Fright's attraction just because the night in Nightmare is unbearable, but fair when it comes to understanding the mechanics and avoiding being attacked by an animatronic. If one does it, others follow. Still, even though I don't like it, FNAF 3 is superior despite flaws like Springtrap ignoring you and subpar mechanics. The conclusion that this work gave us was enough to feel that we had wrapped up a chapter of FNAF. The same feeling that Scott Cawthon wanted to convey when he considered this game as the last one. So, which one is worse? Well, definitely Fright's attraction. But hey, it's still a decent fan game, and thanks to Lost Pop Play for his great dedication and effort. Not just for this fan game, but also for his own vision. If you want to see the comparison of what was prepared for FNAF Plus with the original FNAF, you can watch it on my channel. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.